part two. So I had to take accountability. And that's when I was able to realize, number one, that because you were so arrogant and participated in so much ego shit in the beginning of your relationship with your stepson, you could have ruined it permanently because of the way it all transpired. This is what I'm saying. Like, this is one of the things I had to think about because he's on the spectrum, and we didn't know he was on the spectrum until he was like 8 or 9 years old. So when I got him at 3 and he wasn't acting a certain way, I would have to make sure that he acted the way that I needed him to act. You can't wild out at the restaurant with all these people around here and get mad and throw a tantrum. You can't do that. You can't throw yourself out in the middle of the floor when we at the grocery store when your mama say you can't have something. You can't go to school and get disrespectful with your classmates or your teachers. So I was thinking that he was just being a bad kid, but he wasn't being a bad kid. He was on a spectrum, and certain things would trigger him in certain ways. And I didn't realize that until I had him for 4 or 5 years. So from age 3 to like age 8, man, when he was with me, I made sure he didn't act out of pocket. And I spanked him, and I shouldn't have spanked him. And I feel horrible about that. Because number one, he wasn't my child. But I was just sort of in a situation, and I know when shit be dropping in the water. I'm sorry, this is a quick commercial because I'm now understanding the gravity of what could possibly happen. There's shit that's dropping off these trees, right? And they are way up in the sky. And every now and then I would hear a splash in the water, but I would look up and there were no trees right above me. So I figured, what the hell is splashing in the water? And now I look up and see how high that tree is up there. I wish you could see it. I don't know. But it's so far up there that whatever it is that's on it, when it falls, it'll fall in the water. Ain't nothing hit on the pier. And I come out here recording all the time. It's always dropping around me, but never hit me. But I'm going to move on. So when it came time for me to take accountability for what happened with my stepson, I started to feel like shit about it. Because if I had known he was on the spectrum, I would have probably dealt with him a lot differently. But then again, I don't know. He was actually my first child because at the point that I got with my woman, I didn't have any kids and she already had 3. So you see the hill that I'm already up against. But that's neither here nor there. I'm a man, and I figured if I loved that woman, I'm going to have to take whatever comes with her. So I was just being a man. That's really what that was about. So he was my first child because at that point, I think my biological son, King Jarrell, came about a year. So, and then the dynamics with that changed too, and that got weird, and I didn't know I didn't really handle that correctly. Well, I don't know how to, I can't tell you if I did or didn't handle it correctly. I can't tell you that. All I can tell you is I did the best as I could. And I was in some deep circumstances that, they say, the job was hard when you took it. But shit, I didn't think that motherfucker was going to be that hard. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just dropping this game on you because, in order for me to be able to move on in life, I would have to forgive that part of myself. You know, now that I see that I could have handled it different, I'm not apologizing for what I did in the moment because that's all I knew. But looking back on it now, shit, yeah, I went overboard with a lot of that shit with him. And I'm so sorry. I've told him this, if there's any ill feelings that he would have towards me now, um, he has my number and periodically I do text him. I still try to, reach out to him from time to time, but, you know, it seems that uh, he's upset with me right now. So, hey, hopefully at some point the two of us can go out and, I don't know, he just turned 18. We'll figure something out. But anyway, I truly digress from that. The point that I was trying to make is that I did take accountability for that. So that was a hard blow, and that took a lot of emotions out of me. And I did reach out to him on a couple of different occasions with lengthy text messages because I knew he wouldn't talk to me and I knew that he would read. So, you know, I left it out there in the universe for him. And if we can ever bridge that gap, I would love to. And this is what you have to do. So whatever that is, you could right now be in depression because you've had a failed business and you lost a lot of money and you put a lot of time in that. And same with me. I was so depressed. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to do nothing. I started selling my shit off. Looking back on it, man, it was some horrible decisions that I was making. But at the time I was in the mix, I didn't know what, I was just so hurt. I didn't know what to fucking do. So a lot of that money was on weed and drink and eating stupid and just doing whatever I could do to numb the pain that I was in. And I was having these horrible energy spells and up and down in my emotions and crying all the time and being in the bed a lot and hating myself. That's the shit that was going on with me. And that was only because I was in denial about saying, well, you just wrote this shit in the book and you're not doing this shit in real life. I think that's where the hurt was coming from with that. So I had to reconcile with it. Yeah, I could have did that different. Now, there is a time where you have to also understand that, like I said, if two people in the relationship and the relationship goes down, it's supposed to be on, I don't care if it's 1% to 99. But I think in my case, I would say 50-50. Because there was plenty of times when I could have ended it. There was plenty of times where something told me, nah, this is not the right thing for you to be. Like, the energy here is all fucked up. It's just, and I didn't even understand how to say the energy is wrong here, or, in my spirit, I'm feeling something. I would just, whatever negative energy I was receiving, I was quick to give it back, and even in a more fiercer piece. And then it would happen to me in return. So it was like, it's horribly, horribly toxic. So there were so many emotional scars that I had to fight back from. And it's healing. I'm not completely healed yet. I'm just way fucking better than what I used to be. And I'm blessed because I think it's in a relatively short period. I mean, it felt like forever. But looking back on it, we're talking about finding out my marriage was destroyed just last September. And it's not September yet. And I'm feeling fucking great. But I had to go back and clean up all of my karma. because I did some fucked up shit too. And because I acknowledged that, then I had to get to the point where, okay, you took that on the chin, but this is the hardest part you're going to have to do. Now you're going to have to forgive yourself. And people think that it's easy, but it's not. Because a true apology means a change in one's actions. And if I'm apologizing to myself and I'm not really making the true effort that I need to be making to improve myself, I become toxic to myself. Whenever you let yourself down, you bring in the opportunity for toxicity to start to flood your brain, because you're getting to the point where you're not depending on yourself. You're not believing on yourself. I was there. I still struggle with that, especially with the discipline and having to do something at a certain period of time, at a certain time every day, instead of just doing it when I feel like it's going to be in the best interest of my soul. Like, it bothers me. I don't want to fit into a program, and you shouldn't either. But we have to be constructive and wise about how we do that. And if we try to do that in a destructive manner and someone else gets involved, it's a much more painful thing to deal with. If you're a good person, which you are, because you're pulling up on my channel. You feeling me out? Are you following? I mean, I know this is a lot, but the main thing that I'm trying to say is you need to take accountability. It don't got to be you getting any type of fault that don't belong to you. You're just coming to peace, and you can even tell the person. And I've tried to express myself, like the book was pretty much dedicated to her in a way. And if she chooses not to read the book, that's on her. I've tried to tell her this and express it to her, and I have. But she wants to do what she wanted to do. And then I had to break myself away from it. People don't understand when I tell them that relationships are addictions as well, because we can be sucked in quicker with toxicity than with positivity. If we just took a quarter of that time that we fought with each other to combine our minds to create something that we both can earn, which I think we did I think we did to a degree. I think we did. Or at least I was thinking it, and she didn't seem like she was feeling my idea, so I just dropped it. But I should have kept with the idea. Well, actually, I did. But what I'm trying to get you to see is that once you begin the act of real change, and I'm going to use a word, it's a religious word, and I know you're going to get pissed when you hear it, but it means what it means. You must repent to yourself. Now, what does repent mean? Everybody think it just fall on your face and be sorry. No, it doesn't mean that. What repent really means is just simply change. So if you're going in one direction and it was bad for you, all you have to do is just turn around and walk in the other direction. That's all you have to do. That's what repent is. That's all it is. Just change your ways. Pick something. And that's where your gift comes in, right? So I was telling you about a gift. So It started through therapy. I started getting down to some nitty gritty, getting very emotional. It's very deep, and it had zero to do with my wife. This was all shit that I was going through, that was coming up, and I was finding out that what cut me as a child, I was simply bleeding on my wife, and I was using her as a emotional or verbal punching bag, instead of dealing with the issues that I had with my dad and with my with his family. Step family is what I put in the book, but my dad, his wife, and then my half brother, half sister, and then my niece. So I dealt with some issues surrounding that. I had to deal with that shit, right? And while I was dealing with it, I started to write about it, and I was going to write a song about it, because at that point I was making music pretty much full time. And that was going to be a part of a project, but I could never get the lyrics and the beat to match. I would create a piece of music and it just wouldn't fit with the lyrics, or it was something in the lyrics that I had written that I wasn't really able to feel, to really give it what it needed, the energy that it needed, the love and the passion and the pain. I couldn't give it that. So then I said, fuck it, I'm just going to write. And it was like 3 hours later, I had like 33 pages. And then I go back and read some of that shit. And I'm like, whoa, this is. And then I'm getting to the point while I'm in the midst of reading it that it's bringing me to tears. It's almost like I'm reading someone else's story. I couldn't believe that it was me that went through all that shit. You understand? Are you following me? Like, you got to understand, like, this is the mud right here. Oh my God. It was horrible. So, with that being said, now you have to get into what they call shadow work. So, if you really want this shit, if you really want a better life, you're going to have to find out what hurt you. You're going to have to confront what hurt you. You're going to have to figure out why you didn't fight back. You have to give yourself a good reason for it. You got to come to grips with that reason. Once you come to grips with that reason, and then once you still understand that there was no other way, like you got completely taken advantage of, it would hurt you. Your whole life you had to deal with this particular pain that happened to you. Now you have to deal with that. And that's when the pain comes and you just don't know. It's almost like you're mourning something. Some people don't come back from that shit. So can you forgive that? Do you want to forgive that? Because if you don't want to forgive it yet, then fine. Because it's totally optional for you because it happened to you. However, if you just don't want to deal with it because you're not ready is one thing. But if you're just not wanting to deal with it just to not deal with it, that means you're running. And that means you need to deal with that shit. Because whatever it is that's put you in a position where you're listening to me right now, you have to take this piece by piece. It's like performing surgery on yourself. This is what this is. You are performing surgery on yourself because you need to confront you and know why you act. And once you find that, that's when the healing, you can't heal until you go address that shit. So I just wanted to give all this to you tonight. Be accountable. It's going to help you. Forgive yourself is the most important thing, though. But you're going to have to move on. That's all I got for you. Peace.